There's something strange about watching Fortnite change, but maybe the alternative would have been watching it disappear. Because what if the thing players are calling the downfall is actually the reason Fortnite is still alive? Because whether we fully realize it or not, Fortnite didn't just change. Somewhere along the way, it became bigger than one experience. And once something becomes bigger than one experience, it starts to feel different to everyone. And if you've been anywhere near the Fortnite community lately, you can feel it. The conversations feel heavier. Players feel divided. Some people miss what the game used to be. Others are excited about what it's becoming. And whether we're saying it out loud or not, something about Fortnite feels different right now. And whether you love what Fortnite is becoming or barely recognize it anymore, this shift is affecting every single player. Fortnite used to feel like one shared world, one dominant mode. When you logged in, you more or less knew what Fortnite was. But success changes things. And when something grows as large as Fortnite did, it can't stay singular forever. It has to widen. And when something widens, tension almost always follows. Fortnite didn't just change mechanically, it changed structurally. But maybe what makes this moment so interesting is how differently everyone sees the same game. Because most players aren't experiencing Fortnite as it objectively is. They're experiencing it through memory, through the seasons that meant something to them, through the version they first fell in love with. Which means two people can load into the same exact match and walk away feeling like they've played two completely different games. Not because the game changed, but because they did. Because when a game becomes part of your life, it stops being just a game. It becomes a memory space. And it's human nature to protect the things that shaped us. So when people say Fortnite doesn't feel the same anymore, maybe that feeling is real, but maybe it's not always about the game itself. Maybe it's about the distance between who we were when we found it and who we are now. I've been playing Fortnite since Season 3, long enough to watch it reinvent itself more than once. And I still remember learning how to build for the first time, switching to Builder Pro, training my brain so that if someone shot at me, the reaction to build became automatic. I spent hours in creative mode practicing 90s, messing them up, trying again, learning the timing, and the very first time it actually worked in a real fight, I realized Fortnite wasn't just a game you casually played. I mean, you could, but it was something you could improve at. And that pursuit of mastery is what made so many players fall in love with Fortnite in the first place. So when people talk about the game changing, I understand the weight behind that because I remember what that climb felt like. And maybe part of what makes Fortnite so fascinating now is just how many different kinds of players it holds. There's the competitors, the social players, the memory keepers, the explorers, the creators. And then there are players discovering Fortnite for the very first time, stepping into a world that to them doesn't feel old at all. And maybe that's the quiet shift. Fortnite stopped being one experience and became an ecosystem. And when something becomes an ecosystem, it stops belonging to just one identity. Which means tension isn't necessarily a sign something is broken. Sometimes it's a sign something grew. Because here's something I keep noticing. For a game people often say feels different, we still come back night after night, season after season. Something must still be pulling us in. And maybe that says more about Fortnite's emotional footprint than any update ever could. For a game to last this long, it can't stay the same. It has to adapt. It has to make room. It has to grow beyond the version we originally recognized. And what's interesting is That might be part of Fortnite's quiet genius. Not that it stayed the same, but that it refused to. Because every system that survives long enough asks for a trade-off. Take builds, for example. Early Fortnite had one clear skill ceiling: building. If you mastered it, you survived. If you didn't, you struggled. But as the game grew, Fortnite had to make a decision. Either stay pure to one style of play, or open the door for more players to belong. And that's where Zero Build entered the picture. And suddenly the game became more accessible. But to some longtime players, it also felt like something sacred had shifted. Sometimes that trade-off is simplicity. Sometimes it's familiarity. Sometimes it's a clear identity, but the alternative is fading. Maybe Fortnite doesn't feel different because it failed. Maybe it feels different because it succeeded beyond what one identity could hold. Maybe Fortnite didn't lose its identity. Maybe it outgrew having just one. And maybe what we're witnessing right now isn't the loss of Fortnite. Maybe it's the growing pains of something learning how to last. Sometimes I wonder what Fortnite would have looked like if it never changed. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.